I would recommend that anyone who's traveling to Europe should definitely visit Krakow, Poland. I traveled there in January 2019. It had a huge effect on me. I fell in love with the city almost immediately, and as a South African traveling through Europe, I found it was such a breath of fresh air. I don't mean that literally because the air at Krakow during the time is practically unbreathable, but we can touch on that later. Also, for those of you interested in something slightly different, I also believe that Krakow is going to be the scene of an eldritch, Lovecraftian invasion of monstrous proportions because the city is slowly but surely being consumed by something that is just filling it with giant black armored penises, which I will touch on later. But first, let's talk about this city. Now, Krakow is considered the beating heart of Poland. It is one of the oldest and most culturally rich cities in Europe, standing as a testament to Poland's resilience, history, and progression. It's located in the southern part of the country alongside the Vistula River and serves as a dynamic mix of medieval charm and modern innovation. With its deep historical roots, stunning architecture, and vibrant cultural scene, Krakow remains an essential center for tourism, commerce, and academia in Poland. And yes, I say Krakow, but it may also be pronounced Krakow, and if you're Polish, you'll probably tell me it's pronounced something else. Population and demographics. As of 2024, Krakow has a population of approximately 800,000 residents, making it the second largest city in Poland after Warsaw. The broader metropolitan area, which includes surrounding towns, pushes the population close to 1.4 million. The city has a predominantly Polish population, though it has a growing number of international residents, particularly students, expatriates, and business professionals. The influx of foreign workers and students has added to the city's cosmopolitan atmosphere, reflecting its openness to globalization. Religious landscape. Religion plays a significant role in Krakow's social and cultural fabric. The city is overwhelmingly Roman Catholic, with nearly 90% of the population identifying as Catholic. Catholicism is deeply embedded in Krakow's history, which sites like Wawel Cathedral and the Sanctuary of Divine Mercy draw pilgrims from around the world. However, the city also hosts a minority of Protestants, Orthodox Christians, and a growing Muslim and Jewish community. Krakow has a particularly rich Jewish heritage, as it was once home to one of Europe's most vibrant Jewish populations before World War II. Kazimierz district, historically the Jewish quarter, remains a symbol of this heritage, has undergone a renaissance, attracting both Jewish residents and tourists interested in Krakow's pre-war Jewish life. Krakow's role in World War II. Krakow was significantly affected by World War II, playing a crucial role during the Nazi occupation of Poland from 1939 to 1945. Unlike Warsaw, which was largely destroyed during the war, Krakow's historic center remained mostly intact. This was largely due to the Nazis' decision to use the city as their administrative headquarters for occupied Poland under the governance of Hans Frank. The Jewish population suffered immensely during the war, as the Nazis established the Krakow's ghetto in 1941, forcibly relocating thousands of Jewish residents into a confined area before systematically deporting them to concentration camps like Auschwitz, located just 70 kilometers away. The Plazos, forgive my pronunciation, labor camp, most made infamous by the film Schindler's List, was also located on the outskirts of Krakow. Krakow was liberated in January 1945 by the Soviet Red Army. Although its physical structure survived, the city bore deep scars from the war, particularly in its lost Jewish community and the suppression of Polish intellectual and political leadership. Underground caverns and cellars. Beneath Krakow's surface lies a network of underground caverns and cellars, many of which date back to medieval times. These subterranean spaces serve as an extension of the city's historical and cultural landscape and remain largely unexplored. You have the Rheineck Underground Museum, which is located beneath the main market square, and this museum showcases remnants of medieval Krakow, including cobble streets, merchant stores, and architectural findings that offer a glimpse into the city's 13th century past. You have the Wilicka salt mine, which is just outside Krakow, and this UNESCO-listed underground complex is one of Poland's most famous attractions. The mine, which dates back to the 13th century, features intricate salt carvings, chapels, and even an underground lake. Then you have the cellars of Kazimierz and Old Town, which include many historic buildings in these districts which have extensive cellar systems, and many have been converted into atmospheric bars with jazz clubs and restaurants offering unique nightlife experience. And this does lead into the idea that many European cities, when they are built, the modern cities are just built on the older cities. Main industries. Krakow has transformed from a historically industrial city into a hub for modern commerce and innovation. The city's economy thrives in several key industries. Tourism. As one of Poland's top tourist destinations, Krakow attracts millions of visitors annually, supporting hotels, restaurants, and cultural institutions. Technology and IT. Dubbed the Silicon Valley of Poland, Krakow is home to a booming IT sector, with major companies like Google, IBM, and Cisco operating large research and development centers in the city. Education and research. With Jagiellonian University, again, I apologize for the pronunciation, which is one of Europe's oldest and most prestigious institutions, Krakow is a leading academic center in Poland. Manufacturing and logistics. The city remains an industrial hub, producing everything from steel and chemicals to aerospace components. Favorite foods. Krakow's culinary scene is deeply rooted in Polish tradition, with a few regional specialities. Obzarzanek Krakowski, a braided, bagel-like bread covered in sesame or poppy seeds sold by street vendors throughout the city. I can say this is literally, you can find this in every store and on street vendors across the city. Most people do not walk through Krakow without something like this in their hands. Pierogi, which is dumplings filled with everything from potato and cheese to meat and mushrooms. Zapiekanka, a Polish take on the French baguette pizza, which is popular in Kazimierz. And ossypiak, a smoked cheese made from sheep's milk, often grilled and served with cranberry sauce. The legend of Wawel Dragon. One of Krakow's most famous legends tells of the Wawel Dragon, Smok Walecki. According to the tale, a fearsome dragon once terrorized the city, demanding livestock and sometimes humans as tributes. The city's king promised his daughter's hand in marriage to anyone who could defeat the beast. A clever cobbler named Skuba tricked the dragon by feeding it a lamb stuffed with sulfur. The dragon, in agony, drank from the Vistula River until it exploded, freeing the city. Today, a statue of the Wawel Dragon stands at the foot of Wawel Hill, breathing fire every few minutes to the delight of visitors. And also the surprise. No one told me that thing was going to breathe fire until I saw it, and it scared the shit out of me. Why Krakow's air is unbreathable. Despite its charm, Krakow struggles with severe air pollution. When I traveled there, I made use of an app called Air IQ, and this allows you to determine whether or not the air outside is breathable. For example, in Britain, the air outside is breathable. In India, like New Delhi, the app tells you to stay indoors and do not breathe if you can avoid it. In Krakow, it suggested I stay inside and I close the windows and don't go outside. Now, there's many reasons for this. One is geographical factors. Krakow's location in a valley does trap pollutants, preventing them from dispersing easily, especially in wintertime. Sometimes there's an atmospheric inversion where cold air gets trapped under a layer of warm air. Because there's all the pollutants in the city don't go anywhere. They just stay around the city and create a pretty horrible smog that makes the air, that makes breathing it feel like your lungs are on fire. Now, this is exasperated because, one, Krakow's population is not all wealthy. A lot of them are very poor, and they use coal heaters to warm their houses, and if they don't have coal, they burn rubbish. They burn household rubbish. Also, the traffic and congestion can be quite bad, and high levels of vehicle emissions contribute to poor air quality. And, further to this as well, you have any number of pollutants from the industries that are taking place. It doesn't go anywhere, so it just lingers. So the air is pretty bad, but they do sell face masks. I don't want to turn anyone off of it. How progressive is Krakow? Now, Krakow is widely considered one of Poland's most progressive cities. While Poland as a whole leans conservative, Krakow has a vibrant intellectual and cultural scene that fosters progressive ideas. The city is home to an LGBTQ+ right groups, feminist movements, and environmental activists who advocate for change. However, the political landscape remains complex as the conservative liberal forces continue to clash over Poland's direction. In recent years, Krakow has embraced sustainable urban planning, technological advancements, and social inclusivity. making it an increasingly progressive and international city. From its medieval legends to its role in shaping modern Poland, Krakow remains a city of resilience, innovation, and deep cultural significance, whether exploring its historic streets, diving into its underground secrets, or sampling its rich culinary delights, Krakow continues to captivate all who visit. Now, about the penises. When I went to Krakow, I found on the roadsides and next to buildings, there were plenty, more than a few, of these metal armored penises sticking out of the ground that when I spoke to anyone, I asked anyone about it, they did not know what I was talking about. I thought I was going insane, but I've taken plenty of pictures and I'm going to put them on the post on the website so you can see them as well. I don't know what they're for. I've tried to find the answer, but when I've looked online, the results were not what I was expecting. And when I asked people in Krakow about it, they didn't even know what they were for. They just kind of ignored them. But they are there, and I think the only explanation is that there's a Lovecraftian monster, an elder god, that is coming up from under Krakow and is slowly going to consume the city. All right? That is my thoughts on the matter. So if you haven't traveled to Krakow yet, you really should get going because soon it might just be a hellhole. Just saying. Anyway, this was a much shorter episode of The Lost Executive. I traveled to Krakow in 2019. Absolutely loved it. I saw it in the Christmas time, so it was wintry, it was snowing. Snowfall's quite heavy there. It's a wonderful place. The people are very friendly. They speak English. They speak Polish as well, multiple languages. Huge students community, so it's very modern. And the modernity of it kind of combines with the age-old feel of it. It's a very old city. But, modern times do tend to move around architecture. And so you get a good glimpse of the past as well as the future. Everything moves very smoothly. People who live there do love living there, even though you can't breathe there. When I was there, I was talked into doing urban trekking in the underground tunnels, which is very not allowed, very illegal. So I cannot recommend that on this podcast. And also at the time, I was chased by a maniac who'd been sacrificing local dogs and cats on an altar to the god Thor and his hammer. So that was an unexpected situation to have to deal with, but it was lots of fun. Go to Krakow. It's always jazzy.